What up, peeps? I wanted to talk the difference between what we know and what we feel. And a lot of times it can be one of our greatest battles. And I think a great example, I want to use an example of a house, right? Like, you've had this dream house your whole life. Growing up, you've had this image of your house and how it was going to look like. And you imagined it, you can smell it, taste it, feel it. And then you find that house and you have a $100,000 budget. You buy the house for $80,000, right? And now you have $20,000 to remodel it. But before you purchase it, you had a bunch of people back there telling you, don't buy that house. It's just not a good house. It's not a good purchase. But you went for it anyway. You went for it anyway, and you knew this was the right thing. Going into it, you knew it. So now you purchase the house, you got $20,000 budget, and you can't go past that $20,000. That is your limit. Now you go in and you start to do some work on it because you want to remodel it, and you realize that the house has outdated plumbing. You got to update the plumbing. It's also got outdated electricity. So now you're starting to realize, you know that this is going to go past your $20,000 budget. You know it. But now you feel an attachment to the house. You don't want to abandon this. You know, this is what you've imagined your whole life, and you don't want to let that go because what you imagined. And then also, you have the feeling like, oh, yo, and these people are going to be right, and I got to tell these people they were right. So now all these feelings and emotions are attached. But you know, yo, I better cut my losses now. I know I made the wrong decision. You know financially it's a mistake to go on. But a lot of times we get caught up on this feeling, on the attachment of a decision you made, not to abandon that, but we abandon ourselves a lot of times because we don't want to abandon a decision. Those are all emotions and feelings because we're going with a feeling and emotion rather than what we know. We know this is not the right, we made a wrong choice. Your losses are going to be here, right? You made this decision here. And if you go a year and you keep going at it now, you know this isn't right, but now look how big the loss is. And if you keep going 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, the end result, most likely than not, is going to be the exit. Because what you know here is still going to be the same here, but now you have all this other, everything else that you've put into it and invested into it emotionally, financially, mentally, physically. You're this far in. And I've learned the hard way that you're still going to exit, whether you exit with this much of a loss or this much of a loss, even though it still serves you, you're going to learn a lot about yourself because trust you me, I've done it a bunch of times. I mean, I was not too long ago in a relationship that I did that. I was madly in love with someone, and I wanted to be with this person so badly. And I had this image in my mind in the white picket fence, and she was the perfect woman for me, and I adored her. And when that situation finally happened for me, and I was like, I'm in this to win this. I see nothing else. I had these blinders, like this is going to work no matter what. And I can tell you, in the beginning, now, looking back after I've done a lot of work on myself, I knew then, in the beginning, that, this person wasn't my person, wasn't my human, wasn't the person that was going to embrace and love me and support me to live authentically, to be who I am. And this person is a wonderful person, beautiful person, but she wasn't my person. And instead, I started to mutate to be what I think she wanted. And I knew here, but instead, what did I do? I knew, but now I had all this. And my kids are invested. All my friends are invested. My image is invested. Now I'm worried about all that. I'm worried about my image. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about not abandoning her. And I knew. And I just didn't want it to end. And I knew that it wasn't right here. And instead I let it go this far. What's the end result? The end result that it still ended. Because I knew it then, but I allowed my feelings to drive it this far. And I still exited, but there was just so much more, and it was so much harder to walk away because I let all this happen in between. I allowed it, because you can't blame anybody else but yourself. So the difference between what you know and what you feel, what you know is gonna guide you right. Our feelings a lot of times fuck us up, they just do. There's 3 minds. The reasonable mind, the emotional mind, and the wise mind. The most important mind is the wise mind because it's a combination of both. The reasonable mind is the mind that has nothing to do with emotion. It deals everything very business-like. No emotion attached. The emotional mind only reacts on emotion. Every feeling they're happy, yes, person, and when they're sad, everything's dark, and they're acting and responding with an emotion. Wise mind is a balance of both, and that takes time for you to sit back, to really process something and say, this is the right thing. I'm not allowed to feel what I feel, but I need to go with what I know, and that's a balance. That's called wise mind, and it's okay to change your mind. It's okay. You have the right to change your mind and realize, this was this then, and it doesn't look like this for me anymore. So that's the difference between what you know and what you feel. Like me, this page, subscribe to me. Let's dialogue. I want to hear what your thought is on that, what your take is on that. So remember, work on your wise mind. It's very important mind. Amarji out.